Hey, it's Vanessa, the Crafty Gemini, and I have been teaching sewing and quilting classes both in person and online for over 15 years. Now, one of our very popular programs are my online bag clubs. This new upcoming bag club will be my 9th bag club, and this one we are calling the mini edition. So Crafty Gemini Bag Club mini edition. The reason for that is that a lot of you have written me over the past couple of years to tell me that you either lost your sojo, you don't feel like sewing anything, or maybe you haven't grabbed a project that really kept you motivated and enthusiastic like you used to be about sewing. And so I decided to put together my next and newest bag club so that it is a mini edition where we are going to focus on smaller, quicker to make projects, but they will make absolutely amazing gifts to give this upcoming holiday season. Or, as a quick reminder, you can also sell the items that you make, whether they are from a tutorial of mine that you watched and learned how to make, or if you sign up for any of my online courses or paid membership clubs. Now, in all my years of teaching in person live, like I'm right there next to you classes, one of the main things that I established early on is that I only wanted to teach classes that would allow me to ensure that every single one of my students left the class with their project completed. So sometimes, yes, I did have to stay later and help a student that maybe was troubleshooting some issues throughout the class or the project, but I will not leave there without my students completing their project. Couple of reasons for that. One, I have taught at a lot of classes and retreats where students will bring in unfinished projects that they have from classes that they took years and years ago because they want to get back into it and finish it, and they just don't know where they are, how to pick it up, how to continue with the steps because that wasn't covered. And even if it was, so many years have passed, they don't remember anything, okay? Another reason is I don't want my students to feel rushed. So if I know that I sew fast and I can whip up a project in 20 minutes, that does not mean that I'm going to offer that class in a 20 or 30-minute session. I will allot more like 2.5 to 3 hours because as an instructor, it's my job to make sure that every single student, no matter their skill level or how fast or how slow they sew or cut or all the different steps in making a project, right? I have to make sure that every single one of my students completes the project. And what I have found over the years, whether I was teaching a 5-year-old or an 80-year-old, I have found that the sense of accomplishment a student has after they complete a project is the single most determining factor of whether or not they will continue with sewing for that second or third project. When a student leaves a class or comes into a class excited, they start the project, maybe they're getting into some issues, they're getting frustrated. If they're not able to see the other side of that frustration, it tanks the enthusiasm completely. And so I have found over the years that if my students can complete the projects because they're small, because they're taught in bite-sized chunk of lessons and videos, they are more likely to complete that project, the next one, the next one, and the next one, whatever I put together for them in a series, which is what my bag clubs are all about. If you're not familiar with how my bag clubs work, they're basically a master class that's made up of a series of usually about 5 bag projects, and we tackle each one at a time. If the project is not that involved, we usually will allot about 7 to 10 days for the videos to be posted, students to watch it. You make the project at home. You can submit questions to me via the question live Q&A form. I will answer those questions live on a scheduled live for that specific project. So we take it just 1 at a time or 2 at a time, depending on how involved the project can be. And then we get together and we chat about it on a live Zoom social hour so that you can share the fabric choices that you selected with other friends that are tuning in. You can ask questions. Other students will share tips and tricks that can then inspire you to change up the pattern, switch up your fabrics, or whatever the case may be. So they are a lot of fun. They're individual classes that are grouped together into an actual club, and we only open up registration for a limited number of days, usually about 5 to 7 days, and that's it. Now, whether you're planning to join my new online bag club and tackle these fun, new, smaller mini bag type of projects with us, or you have other gift ideas that you want to work on this year, I want to go ahead and share with you now 3 things that I highly recommend that you keep in mind whether you're planning to make these handmade sewing goods either to gift or to sell to somebody this year. All right, so my first tip and things to think about when you are making projects to gift or to sell is that I highly recommend you keep it to quicker makes. Unless you have an established brand and you have kind of your own style or your own version of cork or leather bags or that kind of a thing where it's a branded, higher cost, luxury type of item that you create. If you're just, at home, you have extra fabric, you have extra time, and you want to make some stuff to sell, I would still recommend that you keep it to quicker makes. So an example, this is my Tamiami tote bag. It has a zippered pocket here, zipper installation with a handbag zipper. It has another zipper here for the main compartment. It also has another zipper in here for an inside pocket. It has metal hardware installed, an adjustable strap. This has a lot going on, and it's not going to be a bag that I recommend you tackle if you're planning to whip up a quick gift for an acquaintance that you don't even really know that well, or to try and sell it to the public, because as you probably have already experienced, most people have no idea what goes into the projects we make. So a lot of the times they don't appreciate it and they cannot justify the cost that you feel you deserve and you place on the price tag, right? So again, let's stick to some quick makes. So here are some quick little projects. They might look super small and simple, and a lot of times beginners will say oh, I don't really want to make that. I don't care about this. It's not just about the finished project though. You also want to think about what types of techniques are being covered here that will help you be better at more consistent seam allowances, also at cutting more accurately so that your projects turn out more like the way you want them to versus having more mistakes than you would like in there, okay? So let's have a look at this little shell pouch. It's a little zippered pouch, can be a coin purse. Couple things about it. It does stand up on its own on that side or this side, but the most interesting thing about this little pouch is, aside from the funky template that you'll have to print and download to make it, okay, it's not just like a usual piece because of the angle and the way that it sits. We only use one side of the zipper tape to make it. So you can see there's a seam here. So we do have a seam here, but on the other side, it's just a continuous fabric, making it really nice small project to feature large scale prints like this large scale floral here. Because I don't have a seam here, it didn't require two pieces to be sewn together. It's made from one piece of fabric cut out with the template. So we don't have any kind of junky connections here. Sometimes when you make zippered pouches without the tab ends, you might end up with this one on top of the other. The seam might not match up too well, but you can see because the technique we use requires us to only use one edge of zipper. In other words, I have a little scrap piece of a zipper here. We basically end up using just one strip of zipper. So this, assuming it was longer, could be for one pouch, and this one could be for another. So it's a little bit different. I'm not sure that many of you out there have tried this technique, but this is going to be one of the little projects featured in the new Bag Club mini edition. So that's a little simple pouch. You can already, by looking at it, tell it doesn't use much fabric. It shouldn't take you that long if you cut out the template correctly and follow my tips and stuff. And then because we cut the zipper open, you'll be able to switch off the color of the zipper pull on here, like I showed in a previous video, where we put on a hot pink zipper pull on this aqua zipper. So a lot of ways that you can mix and match and make little pops of color and make it so that you can charge a little bit more for something like this. So another quick make, again, also requires a template, but this little snap pouch is an accordion style that features 3 pockets here, and they are large enough for you to put business cards, ID cards, debit, credit cards, and cash, whatever you need to put in here. These, I can see them going really, really crazy for at a craft fair. Super cute fabrics. You can see it just uses one chunk of fabric and another one for up here. And then the plastic snaps. The plastic snaps, if you don't have a set yet, I will include a link in the description box below. Super affordable. This is the exact same box that I have been using and storing my snaps in since my son was a baby, and I made his cloth diapers. He will be 13 this month, so you can see I bought one more set, I think, to replenish some of the funkier colors that I had used up over the years. But this stuff is going to last you at least a decade, even if you buy just a basic snap plier set. And then, of course, I have tutorials here on YouTube, and I will go over that stuff again in my upcoming bag club so I can show you exactly how to install these types of snaps, all right? So that's the first tip. Keep it to quick makes. Avoid large, intensive, and super involved projects where more things can go wrong, and then you might not want to give it away as a gift, or you might not want to sell it for what people are willing to pay. Tip number 2 is use your stash. So I recently sent out a survey and over 1,000 of you have already responded. The majority of you actually say that you go to your own fabric stash first before you start a project, which is perfect. That's right in line with what we will be doing in the new Crafty Gemini Bag Club mini edition. So I just pulled out some scraps that I have in my stash here, and I want to share with you a tip, because another thing I read in the survey is that a lot of you, I think over 40%, said that you struggle to put together fabric combinations. So I wanted to share with you a tip that may or may not help you, but I'll share it anyways because it's kind of how I choose colors and fabrics, okay? I have this thing where I don't really care what the colors themselves are. I only care about color value, meaning dark and light. So what I do is I take 2 fabrics and I put them side by side and I look at them and I ask myself, which of these fabrics plays as the dark and which plays as the light? Okay, so if we're looking at these 2, you can probably tell this darker, richer orange fabric reads as the dark because it is darker than this one. And so then this one plays as the light. Okay, so that's it. If I feel like one instantly stands out as the dark and one is the light, that is enough contrast for me to feel like I like the fabrics together, I'll use them. And so you may be looking at these 2 prints and think there is no way in the world I would ever use these, but they will work. I promise you. I may make something out of them together in the bag club and I will show y'all, okay? So another thing is solids. You can never really go wrong with solids, even 2 that are the same. Let's play the game again. Dark and light. Which is the dark, which is the light? This is the dark and this is the light, okay? So, I usually will do that with just 2 fabrics. That's the best way to start, you know, if you're kind of new to selecting fabrics and trying to decide whether you like them or not. So we said this was the dark when it's next to this one. However, if I pull this light blue out and I put in this navy, now what? This is no longer the dark fabric. Now it's this one, and this is playing as the light. So don't think that just because you have one fabric reading as the dark next to the other, that one, when you swap out one of the fabrics, may now be the light and this the dark. But I can easily put these 2 side by side because there is enough of a contrast there. One is clearly the darker one than the other. But when you have fabrics that are kind of like this, if it takes me more than a couple seconds and I'm like, which is the dark, which is the light, they're kind of the same. I still would lean towards this one being the dark simply because it has darker colors in it and the blues are larger scale design and they're kind of popping. But because I hesitated a little bit, that tells me automatically, hey, I don't have enough contrast here. Let's swap some of these out. So if I take this one out and bring in this wild print, I don't really care that this is purple and that this has no purple in it. To me, this still reads as the dark, this reads as the light, and I promise you, if I put them together in a project, they would look good. That's how I do it forever since I started sewing. I don't know, 15, 17 years ago. I have always done that. And you can see in a couple of my projects here, I will use a contrasting zipper as well. So if we look at the color of the zipper and the color of the bands in this zippered pouch, the zipper is the dark and the band is the light. So you get that stark pop of hot pink here because you have a dark and a light next to each other. On this duo zipper pouch, it's the same thing. There is absolutely no yellow in this fabric. Why would you pick a yellow zipper? Because it pops. The yellow plays as the light and the aqua and green and blue fabrics around it play as the dark, so it pops. The same thing goes for the red. There's no red here. Why would I do this? Because I want to, and I love pops of color. So try this little game out. Start playing with some fabrics in your stash and place them side by side. You can ask yourself the same question. Which plays as the dark and which plays as the light? This would look cute together to me, even though this has no lime green in this. This is like a teal color. But because this is the dark for me in my eyes and this is the light, I know that I can put them together. I would like the way they look. Okay? So try that next time you decide to use your stash for some of your projects. And my third tip would be to minimize the specialty products that these projects require. So here I pulled an example of one of my wristlets. You can see there's hardware. There are grommets that need to be installed. There are piping So you need a special cording to go inside of here in order to create the piping. It has multiple zippers. You have another zipper on the back and some foam stabilizer. There's a lot going on, even though the bag itself doesn't look that involved. It's pretty small, but there's a lot going on, and that is going to take you extra time and extra money to buy all those pieces to put that just one project together. So if you minimize the specialty products that you're using, you'll be able to make some like the little pouches that we just went over, simple things, some little fabric, some batting scraps, and craft zippers, which are going to be your most affordable zippers. The snaps, again, we talked about that already, fabric and a little interfacing. We're not using 2, 3, 4 different types of interfacings, okay? So here is a little cell phone pouch that we'll be learning how to make in the new bag club, and you can see it has the snap, 2 simple pockets, fits, this is, I think it's an iPhone 12, I can't remember, the Pro Max, the big one with a case on it, fits in just fine. There's another pocket here. We did go ahead and put in 1 zipper, but it's a craft zipper, so easy peasy. And there's small chunks of fabric because it is a small pouch. These were all scraps that I had in my stash. There's no metal hardware. We made these loops from the fabric, and then I just used, from a big roll of cheap 1/2-inch webbing that I bought, I made an adjustable strap without needing to use hardware. So there are ways to cut costs so you can keep your costs low as the maker and keep your profits high if you are planning to sell the projects that I'll be teaching you how to make. Same thing goes for those of you that are not selling but are gifting these projects. If you want to be able to make more gifts with less supplies, meaning costing you less, these are the types of projects that you'll definitely want to be cranking out come this holiday season, okay? All right, so those are my 3 tips on things that you should consider to help you keep your costs low and your profits high, or just cost low in general if you're going to be gifting your projects or selling them, okay? So if you like the little sneak peek I gave you of a couple of these projects that will be featured in the new mini bag club, definitely make sure you're on our email newsletter list. This is just some of the projects that we'll cover, because when the registration page opens up, I will share with you all the projects that we will be learning how to make, and you'll be able to sign up if you'd like. And if you're liking the sound of this new bag club, make sure that you stay tuned, because in the next video, I will be sharing with you all the details, answering all the questions, the price, showing you the projects that we'll be making together, and I hope that you'll join us. So I'll see you in that video. Thanks again for watching, and